عصف الأنين بداخلي كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر وكم كرهت مصابها لكن رأيت الخير يسكب في أنا كم مرة قد ضقت من عظم الباب.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. At this moment in time, I'm feeling sick to my stomach, and you'll understand why as the video progresses. Let me issue some disclaimers. Number one, I don't play by no one's rule book. What I believe deep inside my heart, I would say it publicly. Yes, at times you have to employ wisdom, but at the same time, I won't be subjugated to the status quo. If you don't like what I'm saying, then correct me. If you feel it's too harsh, then whilst the video will be an evidence and damning evidence for the said speaker, I want to understand why you feel that I am being harsh. Because I know the potential responses that I'll get as the video progresses. I might say things that are probably too direct, but I think this video calls for it. Omar Suleiman, I never had a good feeling about Omar Suleiman. And this audio clip, if it's indeed to be proven to be true, I spoke to Brother Suleiman. I've spoken to Brother Suleiman myself, and he swore by Allah that he hasn't altered anything in this clip, right? So, you know, nifaq, and Hassan al-Basri said this, that what is nifaq? Nifaq is what you hold inside, which is different to what you proclaim. And many have this disease. And it reminds me of a narration of Ibn al-Mulaykab, one of the tabi'un. And he mentions that he met adraktu thalathin. He met 30 of the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. كلهم يخافون النفاق على نفسه. That all of them feared hypocrisy for themselves. So what about us? What about us? So, fake religiosity, and I say this again, this is how I feel, right? You can't argue against me when I see something and I sense, you know, this person to me, he's overdoing it. Oh yeah, you know, when they're doing an appeal and the tears are coming down the eyes, you could pick 1, 2, or 3 that, you know, just, all right, mate, give it a break. You know, you want an Oscar? Anyway, so Omar Suleiman was having a conversation with a certain woman. And again, why is he having these conversations with women anyway in an open setting? Anyway, but that's just, you know, this Western narrative. Well, that's just Western standard, isn't it? Let's listen to Omar Suleiman.
I mean, look, Desi culture is very shallow. It's a very shallow community when it comes to that kind of stuff. And Arab are not, there's no even tarkeez on hifd al-Qur'an and that kind of stuff. In the Desi community, most of it's very shallow. Like, we want any to have a hafid kid. So that, you know, it's like, okay, that'll be our mashallah, you know, but you look at their houses, the wife doesn't wear hijab. They, you know, it's very common that you'll see the mothers of these hafaz don't wear hijab. Hijab in Pakistani culture is like just disappearing. Like, even the women that do wear hijab don't wear it properly. Most of them don't wear it properly these days. So it's very shallow.
So you heard Omar Suleiman having a conversation with Dunya Shuaib regarding Desi culture and Pakistanis, how it's shallow, and look at their houses, like really below the belt comment, like not what you would imagine. Especially with the persona that Omar Suleiman carries, you know, these racist comments. And let me add, just for everyone, I myself am married to a Moroccan woman. My brother married an English girl. My niece is half white. My mum's brother married a Cypriot Turk. So my cousins are half Turks, or half Cypriot Turks, half Pakistanis. So we've come from a very, you know, diversified family, or very diverse family, should I say. Let me ask Omar Suleiman, right? Okay. When it comes to culture, every culture has elements that is good and elements that are bad, meaning that they're un-Islamic. So to add some clarity, my teachers, my Islamic teachers, most of them were Bengali, right? Were Bengali. and I visited their houses, and obviously their culture is different to ours. Now, if they have differences within our culture, and it opposes Islam, like we have in Pakistani culture that has remnants that opposes Islam. One thing we don't do is carry a racist, tone, especially amongst their own circle, right? Now, this Arab superiority, and number two, this fanboying. Like you'll find those who are rushing to defend Omar Suleiman. I'd like to ask you, why didn't you ever address this to your congregation that your hijab isn't worn correctly? Desi culture is very shallow. Why? Because it focuses on their children to become huffaz, but their household don't wear the hijab properly. But the Arab don't have this tarkis or this focus on their children becoming huffaz. I sense a bit of sour grapes, mate. I sense a bit of sour grapes. You're a bit salty with that statement. Now, it's clearly racist, right? He's having a dig at Desi culture, which is fine. Do you think the Arab culture across the Arab world is solely Islamic? Like I said, I'm married from Morocco, North African culture. If you really want to be picky, you could pick holes and say, what about this? What about that? Shami culture, you could pick holes and say, what about this? What about that? You could go to Khaliji culture. You could pick holes and say, what about this? What about that? My culture, Pakistani, Bengali, Afghani. You could pick holes and say, yeah, look at this. It's this opposes Islam. You could do that for every single culture if you want to place it under the microscope. But Desi culture is shallow because they focus their children on becoming huffaz. How is that shallow? My 2 children are enrolled trying to complete their hifz. So am I shallow now? Am I shallow? Because I want my children to become huffaz, right? I want them to preserve the Qur'an. You use the argument, the Qur'an is preserved. You could burn all the copies of the Qur'an, but it gets memorized. Even children, from Indonesia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Somalia, memorize the Qur'an. But apparently it's very shallow. Because apparently their household, some sisters, some mothers, don't wear the hijab properly. But that's shallow.
Hijab in Pakistani culture is like just disappearing. Like even the women that do wear hijab don't wear it properly. Most of them don't wear it properly these days. So it's very shallow.
He already made his stance clear regarding the Pakistanis within his community that they're very shallow because they want their children to become huffaz and they themselves don't wear hijab properly. They don't wear hijab at all. Then he spat his venom to Pakistan. Now he's saying hijab in Pakistan is disappearing and the women don't wear it properly and sometimes they don't even wear it at all, and etc. etc. So you made your stance quite clear. So let me make my stance clear now, because ultimately you could pick issues within certain cultures, but once again, you're supposed to be an imam, a community leader, an activist, and this is what you're concealing inside. So let me be blunt, right? Let me be blunt now. Let me be direct. Because ultimately, if you want to get nitty gritty, I could do it as well. So let me return the favor. I've been to Palestine 5 times. Walillahi alhamdu minna. I've been to the West Bank. I've been all over the West Bank. I've been to villages. I've been to Al-Dhahiriyah, to Beit Laham, been to Khalil, been to, you name it, Quds and the surrounding areas and whatnot. So let's be frank. What have I witnessed, right? In Quds and in the surrounding areas, in the cities and the towns and even the villages and whatnot, what I've witnessed, and I'm going to say as it is, because ultimately, we're being honest now, right? Palestinian sisters wear too much makeup, and they don't wear proper hijab or a jilbab. They don't wear proper. It's not just in one particular area. It's all over us in it. Not to say all of them, because I find Palestinian sisters who frequently pray in the Aqsa, proper jilbab, proper hijab, beautiful. But amongst the other aspect of society, not at all. Full of makeup and like Western clothing, like shirts and trousers and jeans and stuff. Like, what's this? I'm saying that, look, if you want to get nitty gritty, if you want to get shallow, which you mentioned, I'll get shallow as well. I don't see no proper hijab when I went to Palestine. But what does that mean? Does that mean that the Palestinian culture is shallow? No. The Arab culture is shallow? No. But we have these issues. Why? What is this? Is Arab superiority? Like, is that what it is? You think you're superior than Desis? It is the Desis, the Asians that come, our grandfathers who came to the UK, who, built masajids, built madaris. It was the Desis who held the fort. I don't know about the States, but in the UK, let's just say it's the Desis who held the fort, who kept the Islamic identity alive. The Desis, let's just say that. And as I said, I'm married to a Moroccan sister. My family is very diverse. And this is what, brings us together. Like, we have different cultures. Well, that's fine. It's beautiful. But these nitpicking issues, like, you're supposed to be a community leader, an imam, traveling all over the world, extremely distasteful. And I'm not going to allow this to be brushed under the carpet. No one will let this slide. And I hate to say, as I said before, I wear my heart on my sleeve. There is some issue with Arab superiority. There is an issue with that. And I'm not going to expect the popular dua to make a sing and dance out of this. And ultimately, he needs to be called out. And if he holds such views, he's not fit for the position of imam. He's not fit. He needs to be struck off, if that's what you truly believe. So you want to talk about shallowness? And you the same punk that when George W. Bush and Barack Obama came to this visual, you joined in a joint prayer and you didn't have the backbone to pull out, knowing what they had done to the Muslims, and just had a little speech and indirectly mentioning what? Don't talk to me, mate. Don't talk to me. You ain't got no right to talk about shallow. You're the shallow one. You ain't got no cojones. You ain't got no shuja'ah. You are just a coward. And I'll say this to your face if I was in front of you as well. So take care of yourself. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني تمر ساعة